Celeb Savant is a career retrospective type interview focusing on singers, actors, and industry experts. Join Barrett Edelstein now as he dives into the entertainment world.
Maryze is a queer Canadian and French artist based between Montreal and Los Angeles. Her stormy, sweet alternative pop conjures a haunting universe, blending electronic beats with fiery and introspective bilingual lyrics. Maryze released her anticipated debut album, 8, on Hot Tramp Records in 2022, embarked on a North American tour, and ranked on Spotify's Viral 50 Canada chart. 8 weaves together themes of sexuality, identity, and family ruptures, and experiments with influences from emo and hyperpop to Celtic folk from the singer's Irish Britain roots. The album received critical acclaim from Under the Radar, Consequence of Sound, Exclaim, CBC Radio Canada, and Wonderland magazine. Following a 2024 Australia tour with Alex Cameron and her viral French success Langue, Maryze will release a series of singles and finish writing and recording her sophomore EP in Los Angeles. Up next on Celeb Savant, we've got Maryze. Where are you in the world and how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm currently in Los Angeles. Oh, my cat just jumped up here. Part of the conversation. Sorry.
That's okay. It's all good. We love cats and animals joining in, so that's perfect. Obviously Maryze is your name, but why did you choose it to be just Maryze as your stage name?
So my name is actually Maryze with an S instead of a Z. But since it's French, it's Maryze. And I found a lot of English speakers had a hard time pronouncing it. So I thought the Z would make it a bit more obvious that it was a hard Z sound, because like a lot of Marcy or Maurice. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I used to not like my name since it's kind of an unusual name in the English speaking world. But then as I got older and found it was unique, I grew a love for it. And now I use it as my stage name too. So it all worked out.
I can relate. It was growing up, I used to get teased Barrett the rabbit, Barrett the carrot, all these kind of things. And a lot of British people actually have the name Barrett as a surname with the double T at the end.
Okay.
And then now actually there's not many Barretts around, so I actually like it.
Yeah, I think you're the first Barrett that I've met.
I am aware there are a few others, but I have not as yet met a double Barrett before. Anyway, okay, so now let's dive into your journey. At what age, whether as a child or teenager, did you think, okay, I want to be in this music world, and how did that journey progress?
Well, I don't really remember a time where I didn't want to be doing music. So I'm kind of lucky in that way that it was always just kind of obvious to me that that's what I was meant to do. And I started writing songs really young, just as a little kid. I can't say when exactly, but I was always writing. I found, songs I wrote when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and then started doing choir and singing lessons and joining bands. I grew up in a really musical household. My dad was a radio DJ, so he was always bringing home records and showing me music kind of from all over the world. My mom also did radio, so yeah, sound and songs were always just kind of present at home. And yeah, it was never really a question, it kind of just happened.
Understanding that it just happened and you moved into the professional space, were there any aspects of the journey that moving professionally surprised you, that you didn't think, oh, I didn't realize that this would be part of the process?
Yeah, I mean, the music industry obviously is a difficult one, as any entertainment industry is. And the gatekeeping aspect, I think, especially when I was starting out and trying to prove myself. And, I think the industry has come a long way. It still has a long way to go, obviously. But coming into it as, like a young girl and trying to show people that I actually had talent and that I was actually there because I deserved to be was definitely a challenge.
The frustration of the gatekeeping, how did you pick yourself up from those doors closing every time? Was it just a matter of patience? Was it a matter of, I will do this? How did you get over those aspects during the beginning of your career?
Pretty early on, I started working with my manager, Sarah, Hot Tramp, and I think we kind of just decided that if there wasn't already a space for us, we were going to make it. And I was lucky to kind of team up with her and be working with other femmes and queer folks quite early on. And we kind of just realized, I guess if this door isn't going to be opened or if there's going to be kind of hoops to jump through more than seem appropriate, we're just going to carve out our own little niche and we can do it ourselves. And, learning how to do some production. I'm still very much a novice producer, but, learning more about audio production, learning how to DJ, kind of just not waiting for someone to give me the permission or access, but just figuring out how to do it myself and how to do it ourselves and teaming up with other artists and people in the industry who had a similar vision was helpful.
Do you believe that part of the gatekeeping that you experienced was because you are part of the queer community? Do you think that was a perception they had of you or not at all?
I haven't felt that too much, but I think I'm also very much within the queer community, and that's part of kind of the scene that's around me. So if anything, I would see it more as a blessing to kind of be part of that support and that community and like-minded folks. But I also have a level of privilege being maybe more like cis presenting, even if I am gender fluid. So I think there's levels of it. There's definitely folks with more overt queerness who have a lot more of a difficult time than I do. So I haven't experienced too much of that. I guess I've been pretty lucky about that. Sometimes I think I do get a lot of weird DMs being like, are you attracted to men? Do you like men? Because basically I only want to be your fan if you could potentially be attracted to me, which is very strange.
That's bizarre. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Lots of weird DMs. Lots of Instagram's an interesting place to exist.
How do you create a song?
I think that songs come in different ways. For me, there's a lot of voice note mumbling and, just having an idea kind of obsessively be repeating in my head that I just need to record. And I don't really necessarily know what it is right away or what even the words are trying to say, which is a really interesting stream of consciousness form of writing that I used to kind of deny myself for many years because I didn't think that was how you were supposed to write a song, that you shouldn't show up to a session unless you have something fully fleshed out. But it's really interesting to listen back to a voice note and be like, oh my gosh, there's actual lyrics here. I'm doing this weird mumbling thing and it's actually kind of taking shape and I'm picking out ideas here and there. I guess either that way, melodically, and also just writing a bunch of ideas down. I write a lot of poems and sometimes they form into a song. It's rare that I'll show up to a session without any idea if I'm working with a producer. Usually there's some kind of inkling there or a few lines at least that are ready to be explored.
You mentioned that for the longest time that you didn't feel that aspect of writing music, that stream of consciousness was a correct or relevant way to do so. At what point did you realize that it was a way to do so, and how or what were the things that allowed you to realize that?
Well, it's kind of silly because I wish I could have come to this conclusion on my own and just self-validated, but it was more, I guess, accomplished musicians. I think I heard Billie Eilish in an interview say that she did the same thing, where it sounds kind of just like mumbling or nothingness, and then you pick out the words. And I was like, oh, well, if she's doing it, then it must be an actual way to write songs. And I mean, it was nice to just kind of hear that other artists and just speaking with people in my community that's a common way of doing it and removing the roadblock, I guess I was setting for myself of perfectionism and being willing to also share a voice note. I would never before send a voice note I recorded unless it was perfect or more fleshed out, and working with collaborators where I could just send them, 10 seconds of kind of mumbling and they'd be like, okay, I think I understand the vision. I can hear what you're doing here. So yeah, removing that kind of embarrassment. And I guess it did come from just hearing other artists say that they do a similar thing.
That perfectionism that you mentioned earlier, do you potentially feel that having that in the past allowed you to take longer to create and collaborate with others because you were stuck in that perfectionist mode at all?
Definitely. Yeah, I think there are still songs, that I haven't released yet just because I think that they're not fully ready. And there's kind of a sweet spot I think is important to find because sometimes I'll be working with a collaborator, a songwriter, a producer, and they say, like, we have to just put it out now. And I'm like, okay, no, this is definitely not up to the standard I want it to be. But then also realizing while working with people who I really respect, having them say, like this is ready. Cause I think you could just harp on it forever. It'll drive you crazy. You can just be literally looping something over and over again. Sometimes I just have to say, like, are you hearing this, flat note or this weird click or something like that? And someone's like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I try to just trust the people around me as well that I'm being a bit of a nut and just kind of let it go. And it's also, it's an actual, the word release I think is important because you are just kind of, it's like the expiration, the breathing out of here it is. It's a relief. It's a sigh of relief. And there it exists as its own entity that I can't tamper with anymore. And it becomes its own thing outside of me.
When you collaborate with producers, writers, artists that you have as yet to collaborate with before, it's your first time diving into this space with them, does it take you time to get used to their energies and the way they work? Or do you just say, okay, let's just go?
Totally. Yeah. I think it is kind of a getting to know each other. To me, at least, is important. I'm sure that there are folks who just kind of jump in a room and they're ready to start. But I love to get to know the people I'm working with. I love to work with people who have become friends, who we kind of have that, a bit of an unspoken language between us. When I first started coming to Los Angeles and doing sessions before I moved here officially, I was kind of just trying to work with as many people as possible. And sometimes you meet someone and you sit in a room for 2 hours and you're just trying the same line over and over and it's just not going. And sometimes you meet someone and within 2 minutes, like you almost have a whole song. I think it depends on the vibe and the person and learning how to work with different people. But I like to get to know people. I like to have a bit of a rapport. I think it's important because it can be such an intimate experience to write a song together and kind of to really let yourself be vulnerable and explore ideas that seem crazy or embarrassing, letting go of the cringe and just kind of being honest is important.
That sounds like a title of a song, just saying, letting go of the cringe.
I mean, that might be the next big hit. Don't know.
Okay, so I know it's all very secretive in your guys' world. What can you tell us is coming up in the next period of time?
Well, I have an EP that's been sitting for a while. It's going to be my sophomore album. And I'm just trying to figure out how the songs work together, if they can coexist in a universe or if they're going to be on different projects. But the songs are basically all ready to go. And I would like to get them out as early as spring. The next single, I haven't announced this, but the next single is called Shy Party Girl. And it's one of my favorite songs I've ever written. That will definitely be the next single early in 2026.
What do you enjoy about performing live?
Performing live is such a unique experience because even if you're alone on stage, you're not alone, you're sharing it with so many other people in the room. And the kind of lesson for me, because I used to be quite shy or, had stage fright and all that, is even if I'm up there, it's so much more of a collaborative experience in a way because you're so inspired and affected by the energy of the crowd and they're affected by your energy. And I love sharing that back and forth, especially with strangers who you realize you don't know them at all. I was just touring in Europe for the first time, and to be faced with a crowd that I did not know a single face and still have this connection and, have them know my songs and be singing back to me. It's such an amazing out of body experience. Like it truly is magical. So I just love the fact that you can be strangers and you kind of come together and have this really powerful mutual experience that I'm lucky to have with people.
So I'm that guy that's right up in front. I'm dancing, I'm jamming. I'll take my cell phone out for maybe one or two videos, one or two photos, then I put it away. I notice these days a lot of people are videoing and posting and WhatsApping or tweeting, whatever they're doing during the show. You reference that connection and the collaboration with the audience. Do you not find that people on their phones take away from that, or it's just where society is at this stage?
Yeah, I think it can. I think sometimes, if it's not for the whole performance, it can be fun to kind of play to the camera. If a friend is there and they're recording me and I'm kind of being a bit cheeky with them, that's part of the performance aspect. But I don't personally really relate to the concept of doing a live show only for content. And I think that's something that I've noticed a little bit more, especially out in the States. And I get it. Like, we need the content. We need to be posting to socials to get ourselves seen. But it does feel sometimes a bit like if you're only performing for cell phones or I don't know if it feels a bit like less genuine to me in some way. I don't find it distracting when people are filming. I think it's really nice also that people are taking the time to record and then maybe share it later because that's helpful. But as long as you're still present in the room, to me, that's important. It feels like a bit of a skit that's performed to the cameras, which if that's what you're doing and that's working for you, that's great. To me, I need to feel like I'm there in the room with people, or else it kind of takes away, I think, from the performance for the crowd as well.
I love me a CD. I still budget for my CDs every month. For me, it's an energy exchange to say thank you to you guys for all the hard work that you do. I love the journey of the choice, the unpacking, the booklets, listening to song 1 to whatever number. I'm not sure if you may or may not be aware, a massive uptick of physical around the world. UK, Europe, US. 2 years ago in the UK, 5.9 million vinyls sold, the biggest since 1990. Last year, also in the UK, there's a basket of products that they gauge exchanges on. There needs to be a high number of exchanges of a product every day for the product to be in the basket. They monitor it for tax purposes. And because of the upsurge of CDs again, CDs are now back in the basket. And the research is showing it's the teenagers, it's the younger kids diving into this world, not necessarily the older, nostalgic people. Then we have Spotify, DSPs, where people listen to music on. What are your observations and feelings of the landscape at the moment?
Well, I love to hear that there's been an uptick in physical merch and CDs. I think that is hopeful. That brings me hope, just because, it is difficult to earn your livelihood off of music. And I think for many years, merch was a big way that artists were helping fund their tours, essentially. And for my first album that came out a few years ago now, I had CDs, and I love that as well. I think, to me, the first type of physical music that I bought as a kid was CDs. So it does bring nostalgia to me. And I love, there's obviously the Y2K kind of trend has been going for a while now. I mean, there's something so special, right? You said as well, like it's kind of a way that a fan can say thank you and also hold that piece of art and the booklet and the thought that went into it, the story, the lyrics. I love that you appreciate that physical kind of exchange and the thought that goes into the artwork, and sometimes having the lyrics laid out in front of you. Because some of my earliest forms of musical experience was, I don't know what it was, maybe like a Britney Spears CD or Destiny's Child, Beyonce, and listening along and memorizing the lyrics was so cool because you're hearing it, and it was, you could look it up online, but just to have it there with you, it's an intimate way of getting to know a song. So I definitely want to do more physical merch. I love having CDs. I love having vinyl. I haven't had vinyl before, so I hope to do that on an upcoming project. But yeah, I think as much as Spotify has taken over the musical landscape, I want to say for better or for worse, but I think most of us know it's for worse. It's nice that people still have that craving for physical media. And, I think a lot of music lovers are also nostalgic or sentimental people. And it's just nice to have the physical memory, even if it's just a ticket stub or a sticker or a pin, and it kind of creates that connection between you and the artist. So I like to share that with my listeners.
I love this next game. I know if I had to answer this question in 2 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 years, I know your answer would be different every time. Simply because there's millions of them. I'm not saying favorites. I'm saying top of mind. If once we finish this conversation, you want to push play to 5 other artists, bands, past or present, who would those artists be?
Okay, so you're right. It's a difficult question. I think it's ever changing, but currently top of mind, Lady Gaga is always my queen. I love her. I love the way she writes music and is so vulnerable. So Lady Gaga is always there. Fall Out Boy is always there. Fall Out Boy was my first kind of like favorite band in middle school. And I know a lot of people think they're corny, but I still love them. So that's number 2 for me. Number 3, Lana Del Rey. Like if I had to choose an artist that I would get to listen to forever, I do love Lana Del Rey. I love to hear her very interesting kind of raw poetic songs that sometimes don't really like make sense, but I just like how it feels a bit stream of consciousness. And Slater. I really love Slater. I think she's one of my favorite pop artists currently who's putting out a lot of music. Everything she does is so interesting to me. And I know that I think she has another album on the way. I'm going to go with an old one. I'm going to say Edith Piaf, the classic French singer. I love Edith Piaf. And she's one of my OG kind of singing inspirations.
The podcast is listened to throughout the world. As a final message, what would you like to say?
Well, I hope that wherever you are, you believe in yourself and you know that no matter how bad things get, the world needs you in it because you are the only one who can offer it exactly what you have to offer, and that you're more than capable and perfect just the way you are, because times are tough right now and we gotta love each other.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Celeb Savant. Please follow Barrett on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Celeb Savant. That's CelebSavant.